Okay, so let's just be real for a second. We have all been there. You get that spark of motivation, you hit the gym for the first time in, I don't know, months, years, and the next day, you feel like you've been hit by a bus. Every single muscle aches, you're totally wiped out, and just walking up the stairs feels like climbing Mount Everest. It's that moment you think, what have I done?
And that's the big question, right? It honestly feels like you're breaking your body, not building it up. So we're going to get into exactly what's going on inside you during that first brutal week. And trust me, the answer is probably not what you think.
If you've ever quit during that first week, you are in very, very good company. These are the culprits right here. The soreness is just off the charts, you can't catch your breath, you're exhausted all the time. And the worst part, you look in the mirror and see absolutely nothing. Zero change. It feels like all pain, no gain. But what if all that awfulness is actually the entire point? So first things first, we gotta reframe what's happening. Your body isn't just, exercising. It's going through a state of shock. I mean, think about it. You've just ambushed this perfectly comfortable system with a massive, totally new kind of stress. Its reaction is basically a five-alarm fire.
Yeah, there's a fancy scientific name for it, the acute adaptation phase. But the most important word in that whole phrase is adaptation. It's not called the damage phase or the pain phase. Right from the get-go, it tells you your body is already trying to learn and figure out how to handle this new challenge.
All right, let's tackle the number one reason people quit, that insane soreness. It's so easy to think you've actually hurt yourself. But a much better way to think about it is that your body is now a construction zone. And you know how construction zones look, right? Things have to get messy and torn up before the cool new building goes up.
And that very specific feeling, the one that makes you groan every time you sit down or stand up, that has a name. It's called delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS for short. And it's not a sign you did something wrong. Nope. It's actually a signal that a very specific and pretty amazing process has just kicked off. So here's the play-by-play. First, your workout creates these tiny, microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. It sounds bad, but it's controlled. Then, your body's internal emergency crew, your immune system, rushes to the scene. That's what causes the inflammation and that soreness you feel. But here's the magic. Step 3, they don't just patch up the damage. They rebuild the fibers to be even stronger and more resilient than before. It's not demolition, my friends. It's a full-scale renovation. Okay, so that's your muscles. But what about that feeling like your heart is going to pound right out of your chest? Well, if your muscles are a construction site, think of your heart and lungs as a car engine that's being completely recalibrated. It's used to cruising at 20 miles an hour, and you just slam the pedal to the floor. So why does your heart feel like it's going to explode? It's not weak, it's just inefficient. At first, your heart doesn't really know how to pump blood with a lot of force in each beat. So its only solution is to just pump really, really fast. It's relying on speed, a high heart rate, instead of strength, which is called stroke volume. That strong, efficient pump is something that gets built over time. And it's the exact same story with your lungs. That feeling of being totally out of breath, it's not actually because your lungs are failing you. They're pulling in plenty of air. The problem is your muscles aren't good at using the oxygen you're sending them yet. So your body's quick fix is to just make you breathe faster and faster, trying to flood the system with oxygen. The problem isn't the supply, it's the inefficiency on the other end. And what about that classic fire in your muscles, that I can't do one more rep feeling? Well, that's your metabolic system just going into total panic mode. It's burning through all its easy access fuel way too fast and creating byproducts like lactate quicker than it can clear them out. Once again, it's a sign of inefficiency, not a sign of failure. Okay. This, to me, is the most fascinating part of the whole thing. So we've covered the soreness, the breathlessness, the fatigue, and we've established you see zero changes in the mirror. This is the exact moment most people give up because they are missing the single most important thing that's happening in week 1. Have you ever noticed this, though? Even though you're sore, by maybe day 5 or 6, that same dumbbell feels just a tiny bit lighter. That squat feels a little less awkward. So if your muscles haven't actually gotten any bigger, where on earth is that new strength coming from? This right here is maybe the biggest mind shift you need to make. The strength you gain in that first week or 2 has almost nothing to do with your muscles physically growing. That process, called hypertrophy, takes weeks to even get started. Your first gains are coming from somewhere else entirely. The secret is neural adaptation. The biggest changes in week 1 aren't in your muscles, they're in your nervous system. Your brain is literally getting better at communicating with your muscles. It's like an orchestra conductor.
Your brain is learning how to get all the instruments to play at the same time, in perfect harmony. The instruments were always there, they just weren't being used as a team. And you can actually feel this happening. Remember that shaky feeling when you first tried to squat? That wasn't just muscle weakness. That was your brain and muscles having a really clumsy first conversation. When that shakiness goes away, that's neural adaptation. When the movement feels smoother, more coordinated, that is a real, measurable gain. It's the most important gain of all, and it is completely invisible to the naked eye. So let's bring it all home. Why is it so important to just power through this first week of misery? Because every single one of those bad feelings is actually a sign that a critical foundation is being laid for your future success. Just look at this. Every single feeling on the right, the pounding heart, the breathlessness, the soreness, the shakiness, it's all a direct result of a crucial internal upgrade happening on the left. You are literally feeling your body build the blueprint for a stronger you. So from now on, let's stop calling it Hell Week. Let's give it a new name, Foundation Week. Because you're not building the house yet, you are pouring the concrete. You are teaching your nervous system how to talk, your heart how to pump efficiently, and your muscles how to rebuild. Without this week, none of the cool stuff can happen later. And if there is only one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this, right here. The goal of week 1 isn't to get bigger or stronger. The goal is to earn week 2. It's all about teaching your body how to handle the stress of training so that later it can learn how to grow from it. So the next time you feel that soreness, don't think of it as pain. Think of it as a lesson.